This is the calm before the storm. Welcome to another edition of A Strange New Pod. I'm your host, the Boar Queen of Puns, Ensign Brittany, alongside my trusty bridge crew. The man who knows the hum of every warp core and the curve of every nacelle. Captain Julian Brown. That's right, he's a sexy ship man. I've never said that in my life. Chief merch designer and comms aficionado, Rear Admiral Eric. Our resident Patrick Stewart and Nero body double, Lieutenant Hawk. That's right, you heard me. Both those guys. And Trek Drink Master 3000, head of the transport captured during the, quote, mud incident last month. That's what Sulu said in this film. Probable bartender of wherever the hell Scotty was. And honorary 73rd official hidden in a torpedo. Ensign Aaron. Glory to you and your various houses.
Hello.
I thought you said booty master or booty double for
Hawk. Booty double. I have not seen Hawk in person. He's always been sitting down, but he might be a booty double.
Hawk, we're gonna need to see the booty.
Hey. Give me the booty.
Like, not right now. He's like, not for the internet.
I can see.
That will be a separate podcast.
Hawk creates an OnlyFans.
I'm not only gonna do a con counter for this episode. I'm gonna do a every time someone goes into their best Cumberbatch voice counter as well.
Oh God.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I
think the con counter is good.
You come in here to steal my treasure.
Mine's just gonna turn into what's his name? Bane from
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
what
talk
it
like this the whole time. Star Trek
Where's
into
the rest of my
darkness.
crew? They're a bunch of officers.
Go see Star Trek Into Darkness. It is not as good as The Dark Knight Rises.
You think Into the Darkness is your ally? Before we get into our show, though, a big thank you, as always, to Sam Dillard and Samo Studios for our intro and outro music. That is always quite the conversation starter. Ding! Ding! Number one. No, that's two. I made 2 jokes so far. If you're watching us live on YouTube or Twitch, make sure to keep the questions and comments rolling in like my puns all night long.
Wait a second, Brittany.
Yes.
I can do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Ooh.
Oh, this is so exciting. This is like we're winning a game show. Oh! In fact, I have a surprise in store. Rather than me pun it up, I'm forcing my co-host to read puns I've sprinkled into the acts of the film that we're deep dive reviewing tonight. They probably didn't have time to prepare,
we're drinking.
Yep, they're gonna drink. Anyway, Julian, if people aren't already sold on all of this, how can they support our podcast in various ways?
So we have an awesome Patreon program. We now have a $1, a $2, a $5, and a properly titled 10 forward $10 level Patreon, which is awesome. You get awesome things like our bonus podcast, Drunk Space 9, which I think we're pushing back 1 more week. I think that's happening now because of some confusion. Things are happening. It's going to happen.
We are going to become better schedulers for you guys and for us.
We are, but we also have awesome stickers and awesome pins for people who sign up as Mall Supplies Last for our 2020 patron. Sorry, my dog is walking in the background. I forgot to do the collars today.
Dogs are good, always.
We also have, what else are we doing? We have some gift making videos, which we'll get to when more new Trek comes out. A bunch of fun stuff.
You get discounts?
Sweet merch discounts.
Yeah, merch discounts now, which are great. And you should also head over to our Teespring store because it's awesome. But you can just go to patreon.com/strangenewpod to check that out. You could also go to our website, strangenewpod.com, and our Patreon is everywhere on there. You can't miss the button. So check us out. We are sitting at, and I will say this every single episode until we get there, we're sitting at a lovely 21 patrons. So thank you to everybody who already has. But if we get to 25, Eric is just waiting for the moment he gets to do this. We're going to sing all together a rousing rendition of Faith of the Heart. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell a complete stranger, join our Patreon. You can start just $1 a month. $1. That's it.
$1. Like in Price is Right.
Because you get all the really good perks starting at $2, but we'll take $1.
$2.
And we need 4 more patrons.
Maybe we should
$5.
Sprinkle a little bit extra on that. Maybe one of us will sing the original Star Trek theme.
One of you will sing.
Oh, Eric will sing the original theme. We'll all sing Enterprise.
I'm fine with that. I'll do both.
You have talent. Nobody wants to hear that from me.
If I can sing the original theme as Shatner, I'll do it.
Ooh.
Can we get maybe a little preview of what that would sound like, Brittany?
Well, hold on, because we could do that. We could do 3 songs. We could do the TOS lyrics, Faith of the Heart, and Shatner's rendition of Rocket Man.
I'm a rocket man. Burning out this fuel there alone.
So many possibilities.
Anyway, it's too Shatner.
Bilbo Baggins. One day.
Lexi, sorry, not Lexi, sorry. NYRLA says it would have been better if you were singing Wherever You Will Go. Wherever you will go. I think that's a song.
No, The Calling.
I mean, there's a few songs with that name, so I don't know which one. I'm like, I can sing them.
The original Enterprise promos had The Callings Wherever You Will Go.
Yeah, that's the one
If I could, then I would.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So if you want to hear that, join our wonderful Patreon. And speaking of our patrons, it's time to give them some thanks. So thank you so much to Simon Steger, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Mag, and Bradley, Spotted Giraffe, Mitch Thatcher, Rob, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saborito, Noe Santos, Kang Hui, JD, Takako Nagumo, Kara Kennedy, Patrick Hazard, Dean Pearson, and Fernanda Nogales. I really like that last name. Like, I gotta do it.
By the way, special shout out to Fernanda, who is also Fefenog on our Discord, because she has been driving, I think, cross country with a U-Haul and her car behind it and killing it. So, congratulations.
I just realized the name it's Fernanda Nogales, Fefenog.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so smart.
I didn't know that either. That's great.
I don't match up any of these names to their other names, so wow. I love all of you.
Indeed.
So we don't have a ton of news, but we got some major stuff that happened this week, so I'm going to run through it real quick, because as always, you can check out our latest video, Strange New News, for all the details. But we had the Voyager documentary, which is now fully funded and beat the record for highest crowdfunded documentary.
Amazing.
Kept going after they broke the record, too.
Yeah, they just kept rolling. Rolling in the deep, rolling in the dough, like Deep Space Nine.
Rolling in the... Sorry.
Adele. Hello from the other side of the record. So Paramount Plus also announced a bunch of cool virtual panels and events for First Contact Day, which is on April 5th, which is the first contact day in our future. You never know, it might happen. Vulcans can still show up. So make sure to stay tuned on all of our social channels, because we'll be covering all the events that day.
Indeed.
And that's basically it for news. Julian, you have a little surprise, I think?
Oh, well, I do indeed. So, because we are doing Into Darkness, and no matter where you lie on this movie, whether you love it, hate it, think it's okay. Movies are fun to own. Things are fun to win. So we're giving away this copy of Star Trek Into Darkness, which is cool. I don't know if it'll do the effect on Zoom, but it's a 3D cover.
The flames.
The flames move. It is a Blu-ray 3D plus Blu-ray DVD plus the digital copy may have expired by this point because the movie's 8 years old. So no guarantee that the digital code will work. But
8 years old. Oh god.
Yeah, 8 years old. But we are giving away this copy of Into Darkness. So all you need to do is go to strangenewpod.com/contact, fill out the form there. It's fancy, it's easy. And then all you need to do is put in your favorite Star Trek Into Darkness quote, and you'll be entered to win. And we'll take submissions all the way up till Sunday. So do it. You'll win this copy. It's really cool.
Win stuff.
I know a lot of people for our watch party had to rent it yesterday. So now you own it if you win.
What are you talking about? It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Eric.
Canada. Not Canada. Damn you.
Son of a bitch.
I thought it was free on Amazon Prime too, because I think like 2 months ago it was, but yeah.
I was like, rent? $1.99?
So giveaways are really fun for people. But our favorite thing to do is the Strange New Loop. Nice. Julian got me.
Did.
I was hoping, I was like, did he feel the setup?
I did.
So, as we know, in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, Uhura, for some reason, was unfamiliar with Klingonese during their covert mission in Klingon territory. However, our alternate reality Uhura in Into Darkness is fluent in the language and able to use the skill while in Klingon space. If you could pick one language from Star Trek to learn, what would it be and why?
This is such a good question. Like, I
welcome.
feel like
I'm only a language major.
well, which one would you pick?
Oh, I always go last.
Oh, okay.
Not today. I think Aaron called you out. I think you should go first this time.
No.
Yeah.
Because I can't decide. I
Mm,
want to hear your choices so I can pick the weirdest one that you didn't choose.
you're
I
lucky
know,
there
I
is
know,
lots of
I know,
business in.
I know what I'll do. I'll do it. I'll go.
Okay.
Because I love the Enterprise era. I'm gonna go with I would love to learn Vulcan, just because I would love to, you know, be on their level. I would like to communicate with them in their own language. I think that would be a cool language
So
to
you
learn.
can Vulcan understand them?
Yeah, because I normally Vulcan't.
I mean, this is such a hard question. I feel like the easy answer and the most fun is Klingon because you can kind of learn that right now and you get to like yell at people. Like it just seems very cathartic. Like you could even be like, "What's for dinner?" But you're like, "What's for dinner?" Okay, that sounds great. Like it just seems like you could just be like,
How do you say
You look lovely
"Ma the
today.
meatloaf" in Klingon?
Ma the meatloaf. I do have a choice if you guys want to hear it.
"Yes."
You know the episode, the Darmok episode?
Mhm.
Yes.
I want to
Oh,
speak that language where it's just like everything is so like
a metaphor.
allegorical or like metaphorical. So it's just like Brittany, in her closet, she sits. Like, you know, at her computer, she records. Like, I don't
That's a
know.
good answer.
Very good. Should I go next?
Yeah.
Okay, so TNG era. I would speak the language of the binars, binary, because it's
Ooh.
universal.
Very, very good. Nice.
0001100.
And Julia,
I'm still deciding.
you got to pick.
Mm, uh, I really don't know because I want to say Klingon because I fucking love the Klingons, but
You can say we can have the same answer.
no,
That's all
because
right.
it's such a cheap and lame answer.
Hey, that was my answer. It's not cheap and lame.
Even
How dare
Uhura.
you?
I love when she speaks Klingon in this movie. I'm just.
and then I could go with my
Yes.
answer
Always
for
had that, and I
everything, which
get
is
it.
always Romulan. But like, I
I
don't
Romulan
know.
thought you
would
were
be
gonna
cool.
say Romulan.
Isn't
Mhm.
Romulan sort of just like
Romulan's
Just like
you,
Vulcan,
Okay.
pretty much.
know a lot of secrets. You
It is
talk
pretty
like you
much.
know a secret about the person.
Yeah.
I want to speak Cardassian. I mean Kardashian. I mean Cardassian.
It's all the same.
Let's see.
Cardassian
I'm just gonna pick a random race. I'm gonna go with Bolian. I want to learn Bolian. There you
Oh, there
go.
we
Ah,
People in the chat are saying Shakespeare in the original Klingon.
For no good reason other than that's the first thing that came to
Cry
mind.
havoc.
Hey, I mean that's valid too.
What about like species 8472? Like how the fuck they were just like
That was all telepathic.
yeah, they
That's
were
when
all
you're like
telepaths.
language 8472.
I would like to speak
on-
Borg.
Yeah. Well, yeah. On Twitch, Takaku says I'd like to learn Bajoran,
Mhm.
which yes, I like that as well.
Not a Bajoran language, that's for sure.
And she thinks that with the name order, it might be like Japanese. So good reason. I like.
Maybe I should switch over to French so I can understand half of this country.
You'll be more French than Jean-Luc Picard himself.
you guys didn't learn French?
We did. I can still understand some of it.
Okay.
I did grade 9 and that was it.
Oh man.
You guys are bad Canadians, man.
We are
We're
bad
taking
people.
away your card.
They're just not Quebecois.
We do not like the French in Ontario.
Yes, no, Canada, like French Canada. It's the best Canada in the land. So it's the only South Park I'm ever gonna quote. If that's it for languages, y'all can keep telling us in the chat. But we're gonna move on into our deep dive. Starting off with what is this movie? I've never heard of it before. Hawk, could you tell us the synopsis?
After the crew of the Enterprise find an unstoppable force of terror from within their own organization, Captain Kirk leads a manhunt to a war zone world to capture a one-man weapon of mass destruction.
I like
That's
how
pretty
you
intense.
decided to call Kronos a war zone world.
I didn't choose this. This is the actual synopsis, like, of the film.
Ugh.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ew.
like on IMDb. I was like,
That's a-
oh.
That's a fail boat.
It's a
know.
pretty blah description. Like what? Huh?
Since I have these buttons up for tonight for our con counter, I'll do this one for IMDb.
Oh my god.
You have failed. Wrong, sir. You are wrong.
I have that too.
Okay, well, maybe my synopses will be better. Take it from here, Eric and Hawk with Act number 1.
In 2259, Captain Kirk is removed from command of the Enterprise for violating the Prime Directive after exposing the ship to the primitive inhabitants of the planet Nibiru in order to save them, and Spock from a cataclysmic volcanic eruption. We'd love if he'd get in trouble for that, but they were stuck between a Spock and a hot plate.
Shut up, Wesley.
I like that. That was good.
I was
that was
really
good.
proud of that one.
I should have read this beforehand. As a result, Admiral Pike is reinstated as commanding officer with Kirk demoted to first officer, and Spock is transferred to another ship. Shortly after, Starfleet officer Thomas Harewood, sent by Commander John Harrison, bombs a Section 31 installation in London. Coincidentally, I was in London today for work. Oh yeah, it was a blast, but in a good way. After Kirk's... I'm sorry. After Kirk's
Eric
interesting...
was in London for work.
Yes.
London, Canada?
Yep, London, Ontario. After Kirk's
Oh, you guys have
interesting
London.
path to the captain's chair in the first film, did this almost immediate demotion feel right?
Yes.
I leave that to you.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yes. First of all, before I even answer that question, this is I've lost count of how many times I've seen this movie between owning it in theaters and other reasons. It's the first time I've known the character's name who bombed the Section 31 location. So props to you, Brittany.
You know why? Because I'm thorough as hell.
I thought you were gonna never mind.
Doctor,
I
who
think
played
that demotion was necessary, and if we're being honest, even though this film is mostly okay, this should have been the focus of the movie. This should have been the second JJ film. The repercussions of Kirk not being ready to take the chair, and the fact that it gets so quickly, like I feel like it's 5 minutes after he gets demoted, he's already back in the chair.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So while it is necessary, and that moment between him and Pike is so wonderfully and brilliantly acted, for it to be thrown away and not be the focus of this film, I think was a huge miss by JJ Kurtzman and Roberto Orsay. So yeah.
Well, he didn't really learn anything from it, right? He gets
No, he
demoted,
didn't learn
He
shit.
goes to the bar, he goes to the meeting, he gets promoted again. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. You just...
Well,
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
feel like these three movies, including the next one, obviously, the focus should have been his rise to becoming a captain. Instead, he becomes a captain right away. And they got what you reap what you sow. They made a cadet a captain, which is unearned. And we were saying it yesterday on the recording, but I don't care what kind of amazing heroic act you do. Do you think in any military you're just going to be like, oh, you're a captain now, captain? Like, if it were an honorary and you never worked again, then I would get that. But it makes no sense. And why are they surprised that this happened to him? And then why do they put him back in that position? Like, this guy, like, we all love this character, but it's just like, it's just not earned, you know?
Were there no other
Yeah.
captains anywhere? Anywhere?
Yeah.
Nope.
Why is an admiral taking command of his ship, by the way? Like, that's not what would happen. You would just put another captain.
Kirk did get the Enterprise back after just asking for it. So Pike could have just been like, hey, can I get the Enterprise back since I got to sit in the chair for like 2 hours?
Pike
Yeah,
could
but
have
he's
been
an
like, "So-
admiral. That admirals don't fly ships. Like,
Yeah, Kirk did.
in Star Trek, they do. In Star Trek, they
In
do.
Star Trek, they do. They fly around in the flagships, and the Enterprise is the flagship.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All good on
Anybody
this?
I'm just like agreeing with all that. I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I don't need to say more.
All right. During an emergency meeting on the situation, Harrison uses a ship to ambush and kill Pike and the other senior officers before transporting to Kronos, homeworld of the hostile Klingons. We were clinging on to hope that Pike would pull through, but this is Into Darkness. Instead, we'll cherish him
Wow.
always in other iterations. How did we feel about this tragic outcome for Pike? We didn't get Pike for too long between this film and the previous one. Did this death make sense for his character or Kirk's story?
Garbage.
Crappy death.
Garbage.
I feel bad. It's Bruce Greenwood, right, who played him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like he was such an interesting Pike, and I know we've talked about this before when we just did a Pike-centric episode and like all the people that have played him. But like he gave us like a different sort of Pike, and it's the most we'd seen since like The Cage in the original like series. But it's a shame we really don't see much of him between these two movies. Like you get more of him in the first film than this one. He pretty much gets blown up immediately.
And he
you're like, oh, okay, that's how Pike goes out.
And he feels a little angrier in this film. Like as
Yeah.
soon as you meet him, he's already like yelling over. So you're like, oh, okay, he feels a little different. And then he dies, and you're just like, oh, I didn't really care for him. He sort of was never
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, he was a little more fatherly in the first one. In
Yeah.
this one, he's just like, Kirk.
Lexi's got a great point about this. It's the classic storytelling trope to kill off the mentor figure to propel the young hero, but it does feel unearned here. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think Bruce Greenwood in a couple of interviews said he wasn't terribly happy with how Pike went out either. So it was not well done, and it was just the only reason they did it was to put Kirk back in the chair and like have that be the lame reason, because it's so ridiculous, because there could have been so much here. You get that again, that great scene where Pike's chewing him out and being like, you don't follow orders, you don't listen to rules, you think the rules don't apply to you, and you're gonna get your entire fucking crew killed. Like, you're done, you're going back to the academy. Great scene. And then you know how much Pike loves and respects him, that he actually goes to the Admiralty and goes to bat for him. And he's like, it's going to be okay, son. You're going to be my commander. We're going to make this work. And Chris Pine's reaction, like Kirk's reaction, he's getting like weepy. And when he dies, it's like this big moment. And then that's just done, right?
Yeah.
It's just done. And he's in the chair and the movie continues and Pike is an afterthought, which is a fucking shame.
Well, it's all like vengeance for Kirk from there on. Like, it's not honoring Pike, really. It's just, you took this person away from me. I'm going to, like, this is what you deserve.
And is it, like, it's not even really a father figure. He's like, revenge for someone who gave him a new promotion? Like,
no,
a
I
promotion
think,
I don't know.
I think Kirk looked up to him as a father figure. Yeah.
But it didn't feel like that for the audience, you know? Like,
I felt that in this movie. I don't know if I felt it the last movie. I felt it in this movie.
I felt it more in the last one, which is weird.
Yeah, well, the thing that makes me crazy about this whole scene is that, and I think it's all just like bad writing, because Kirk, like, everything he says to Kirk, like, all of these negatives, he's the one who took this guy from a bar fight and got him into that position. So he has no business being upset at him for it. He was also part of the group that put him into the captaincy after doing a bunch of rogue bullshit that worked out for him. Because if none of that had worked out for him, he's Burnham in Discovery, right? Like, that's what, if Burnham in Discovery, if things go a different way, she's the captain, right? I think that's why Discovery, it's better written, because there's actual consequences to your actions, and we get to see this really beautiful like buildup of a character earning something, whereas everything with Kirk is unearned, and there's no, you know what it is, Pike has no agency in this movie. His job is to die, and that sucks for a character, usually a woman, but not this time.
Well, and you know what else is ridiculous? Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's also weird because as much, like, we had 2 films with Pike here, but that one scene with Giorgio and Burnham on the planet just walking and talking, I felt more of a relationship between those two than Kirk and Pike ever did in these films.
Totally.
Yeah. And that's good writing.
Yeah, I'm just flabbergasted that the whole arc of Pike's story was just thrown away for this movie. We all know his destiny in that, and like, it just seems such a throwaway, and we realized that it was all just, the whole point of the plot was just to manipulate Kirk into going out for vengeance and that, and they threw away a beautiful character in that just for a throwaway moment.
And I was gonna say, it's ridiculous even going to Star Trek Beyond, where you could tell that he very much has matured and really become the captain that we know him to be. But then, like, he's talking to Admiral Paris in that movie, and she's basically like, the vice admiral position here is if you want it. Like, dude, is he even out of his 20s yet? Like, come on, man. Are they just promoting
Everything's
people?
accelerated in the JJ-verse. Kelvin timeline moves real quick.
Well, and I had one more comment about this. So this whole scene where we have this terrorist attack while they're having this meeting, I was thinking about this last night after we did our rewatch and what it reminded me of. So there's the scene in Avengers when they're doing the Sokovia Accords, where the King of Wakanda is giving a speech, and then that building's attacked with all of those people in it. And the thing that was so different, and why I think that was a more effective scene than this one, the exact same thing is happening, right? It's a terrorist attack and they kill a guy. But in that scene, it happens really quick. there's a horrible explosion, and then you're in the aftermath in it and you're feeling it. Whereas this dumb thing went on so long, like the ship's there, he like gets in the wall and throws some shit at it that they can't shoot anybody except for Pike apparently. Like they lost it because they were like, how can we make this so cool looking, instead of like what should this feel like? And I think that was something that sort of like got into me last night. So I wanted to share that.
Well, let's go off of that, because the theme of terrorism is really prominent in this film, especially with the beginning. There's that whole scene with Mickey. I can't remember his name in the movie, but
Mickey Smith.
Mickey Smith. And they had that. It had that really realistic like terrorist attack. What do we think of adding this theme in sci-fi and this darker side of Trek?
I think it works in sci-fi sometimes. Like, there can be a lot of different ways you can do it where it's not mimicking our real world in a way. But I feel like for the whole point of why they made this film was to be like this vengeance-fueled thing, and they wanted to ground it in our reality, especially around the time it came out. So, I mean, look, we live in the U.S. How many shootings have we had since states reopened? Like, this is just every day for us. But it ties in a bit to like when we get to fun facts of like why they wrote this film the way it was.
Yep.
It really ties in there. But I remember Simon Pegg had an interview about this, and he mentioned that a cool aspect of this movie is the fact that when they meet Khan, they don't know who they can trust or why. That was even fun. And it's so interesting because like it shows that like things aren't always as cut out black and white as people want movies to be. Like, it wasn't a movie where it's like, these are for sure the good guys, this is the big bad. And it was more like, well, there's various phases to this. You find out other people that are involved and what are Khan's motivations. And now Kirk and Khan are like foils of each other in this film. They both want vengeance for different things, and they start to really mirror each other. And it's like, does Kirk deserve to be a captain if all he can focus on is this revenge? So I feel like that tied into like the aspect of like terrorism. It's like, well, who then becomes the real terrorist here? Like, it was kind of, I don't know if they should have gone and pursued the theme the way they did necessarily, because sometimes it works in the film in certain places, sometimes it doesn't. But I think at the time, nobody would have expected this from Star Trek. They're like, it's not Deep Space Nine.
I have no problem with the theme, and Star Trek, and Rob mentioned something about Drekkies earlier, who forget that Star Trek is always dealing with current events and the current political climate. Like, this was, I think, something good to touch on. And for the most part in this movie, even though this movie has a lot of flaws, I think it does work. And I think it would have worked even better had the terrorist been a terrorist and not Khan. You know, like this movie is
God, that's loud.
really, yeah. This movie is really good if John Harrison is John Harrison.
Yeah.
It becomes weak when he becomes the other character.
I feel like they felt like they had to put Khan in because they're like, what's a big divergence?
Yeah, they screwed up on that front.
That was this whole movie was like putting in stuff that it didn't need, because I think you guys said it. There's a good story in here, and like, I'll be honest, I prefer my Trek. Like, I like it when we're fighting the Borg and stuff because it feels a little bit different to me. But there's a good story in here, but it got pushed down behind like dumb explosion-y bullshit. Like, I like to the point where I was like, I don't even know what's happening anymore, and that's unfortunate because there's a good story in here, but it just got lost from all of the extra. Like, they were like, this looks cool, let's do that. Let's get Khan in here. People love that nostalgia. Let's do this. And it weighs it down. Like you say, change that character to anyone else. Don't do the stupid someone's dying thing because it doesn't matter. Like, it didn't feel like its own movie. It felt like they were remaking.
Yeah. If you want to make this a Section 31 movie, make it a Section 31 movie, which it was, but it was also this, and the other thing as well.
Could you imagine if this was like, I love when sci-fi takes topics like terrorism and spins it on its head. Like BSG did that really well. Like they took the side of the terrorists. Like, you felt for what they were doing. Like all the humans were the terrorists.
It was a mind fuck, man.
And I feel like they tried to do this here, where they're like, you know what they did in BSG? Maybe we can make Khan sort of like a sympathetic terrorist, and we can, sort of feel like how he feels, because it's his family and we can have them mirror each other. But they didn't do it as well as BSG. So it's just sort of like a fail on that. But if it was John Harrison, like, man, just a regular dude who fought up against Starfleet. Oh, that could have been amazing.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could have. This was what like Aaron said, and that there's a story in there, and that and if they wanted to explore it, they should have done that. But for me, it's the third act where it kind of really that whole story of terrorism is just thrown out and just stuff full of like tropes and that JJ Abrams is trying to make his own.
Yeah.
Magic
agree.
blood.
We'll get there in Act 3. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But let's
Personally,
finish up Act 1.
I just wanted them to go explore the galaxy and leave Earth alone. That's what I wanted to see from this movie.
I liked Earth. I liked seeing more. I feel like that's something we've mentioned on the show that we don't get to actually see that a lot of Earth in Star Trek. I like that we were on Earth for a bit.
And a big tree.
tree.
Hawk, you're up.
Hawk, you're up.
My friend.
Oh, here I am. Yes. Okay. So, Admiral Alexander Marcus reinstates Kirk and Spock to Enterprise with orders to kill Harrison using a new long-range stealth torpedo. Chief Engineer Scott objects to allowing untested torpedoes on board without knowing their specifications. When he is overruled, he resigns, letting Starfleet off scot-free.
Just shut up!
Kirk assigns Chekhov to replace Scotty, so he'll check off the inspection.
Oscar worthy.
No.
Really got to put the emphasis on that.
Yeah, you gotta.
En route to Kronos, Enterprise's work capabilities become disabled. Kirk leads a team with Spock and Uhura to the planet with Uhura as the liaison since she's unheard.
Hurried.
Unheard. Okay, that one could have used a little more attention to spell.
Well, I think it autocorrected something weird.
Uhura, their language before.
That's a horrid pun.
Ooh.
Oh,
They are ambushed by Klingon patrols where plot twist Harrison appears and kills the Klingons. He appears to let Klingons be bygones.
or
and
be
surrenders
gone.
when-
Yep. Look at my shirt. Keep calm and cling on.
and surrenders when he learns the precise number of torpedoes on board Enterprise. Removing a main character from the crew is a big decision. Do we like Scotty being off the ship for a good part of the film? Did it
No.
work?
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
There's another. Yeah.
I like some,
like
but
I
too
understand
much.
why he had to be there, but not having Scotty in most of this film was a travesty because he's like
And
one of
also,
the best
he
parts
only
of
needs
this.
to be gone just for the coordinate part. Like, that's literally it. Just to be like, he really means here. They're going to attack this secret installation. And you're like,
It was just another example of this movie having way too many moving pieces. There were so many things going on, just way too many. You had
too many lens
the not Carol Marcus plot point. You had Scotty finding the big ship. You had Kirk dealing with vengeance. You had Uhura messing
Uhura trying to have as much character development as possible.
yeah with a relationship with Spock and
Aw.
being mad at him, and Spock wanting to go die every 5 minutes, and Sulu taking the chair, and Bones being a womanizer. And God,
Oh,
this
yeah,
movie,
that's right,
so many
right.
moving pieces.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't. Yeah, I like. What do you say in that? I mean, like, Scotty wound up being a plot device throughout the film, and that when he's supposed to be a character, and this is supposed to be like a film about them becoming a crew.
Mm.
Well, and
What
couldn't
does Scott
he-
need with a starship?
if you're gonna like, have they already? They haven't left space dock, I assume. If Scotty, pisses off, like I think that would have made more sense if they had already been on the way or something to where Scotty can't get off the ship. So
Rig.
well, and no, not that. Like, he resigns his commission, but I think that if they had the better storyline here is they have another confrontation, and Scotty is like, "What you're doing is wrong," and they're able to communicate with each other, and then Kirk understands, and like there's growth there, there's character development. Instead, he just goes off to the space bar. Like, it's just yeah.
Now this was a popcorn eating summer smash hit.
How to
With
get that
Disco
Budweiser
ball.
sponsorship in there?
Can I go
Yes,
over to?
I noticed that.
I'm gonna
They
go
both
over to
would yell at
Twitch.
each other and say, "Martha, how do you know that name?"
What's up with Twitch here?
Rob wrote, a bunch of the cast felt like they were written down to nothing for no good reason. Scotty, Chekhov, Sulu, even Bones.
Sulu for sure, man. I mean, he got to sit in the chair, but he got to do nothing. I was so pissed off.
Oh, and poor Chekhov. Like, you
He had the
blink and you miss him.
goggles.
Yeah.
The goggles.
They
Anyway,
do nothing.
One more hawk and then you're free.
Where are we here?
the second
Oh,
half. Yeah,
We see more.
More?
we see
Oh,
more
yes,
of
yes,
Benedict.
yes. Sorry. I'm scrolling on.
Yeah, irony.
We
Can't
see
see
more of Benedict Cumberbatch as Harrison Khan here. Between the attack on Starfleet and this encounter, does
Does he carry?
he carry the gravatos of a main antagonist? We can discuss his role as Khan as a whole after reviewing the film as well.
I just feel like I don't care about his character. Like, I think it's the opposite of what they want. They want us to feel something for him, but I feel like we don't spend enough. Like, I just don't care about him, honestly. That's the long and the short of it. I just don't give a shit. Like,
imagine if you were coming into this film not knowing who Khan was. You wouldn't care, right?
and guess what? That was me. I still have never seen that film. And so I can tell you 100%, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what his whole thing is. Like,
What's worse is that throughout all the promos and all of the interviews before this movie came out, everyone was like, he's definitely not Khan. We swear he's not Khan. He's not Khan. We said it
Oh my
every
God.
single interview. It was so annoying. I'm sorry. Khan. So many
Khan,
Khans,
Khan.
and it's not Khan. No.
Well, I have a fun fact surrounding that later.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna give a hardcore hot take on this. If Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't as hot as he was in 2013, if he wasn't like the guy to get, if Sherlock wasn't a thing, if some of the early movies that he had been in were or thing, yeah, this would have been forgettable and would have been even more widely panned than it already was. Because you got to remember, he's the third, even fourth person, wasn't even on a list that they wanted for this role. They got him out of necessity because the people that they wanted with a proper skin tone, mind you, all didn't get it because of contract negotiations breaking down.
Contract negotiations? Ding,
but
motherfucker!
don't you think? I think part of his star power at the time was part of the problem because he was such. I mean, he's still a massive star, but he was so big at the time that all you can see is who he is to me.
Well,
Like
see,
at that time.
that's where I disagree, though. That's the thing about him being in this role. The only reason that this movie did so well and didn't get so widely panned and got good reviews was because even though he was white and the film, the character was whitewashed, he was so fucking good. Like, he was good. He had great lines, and you can't
Benedict
have
is always
Benedict in a movie and not have him deliver lines well. It's just not how it works.
He's
Has he
good, but the
talked
character
like
and the dialogue sucked.
Very
Like,
dramatically.
I didn't care about that character, and he meant nothing to me, and it was forgettable. Like, I didn't really understand what he was doing in the movie half the time. It didn't hit for me as someone who didn't know the original film. So no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I feel like it wasn't written for him. Like, it feels like knowing that Benicio del Toro was supposed to be this character, and like
that
would have been like it feels like it was written for him because it
was.
feels like his.
And
it feels
yeah.
like his cadence and everything that he says. Like, whenever I see him act, that would be that character. But seeing Benedict is sort of just like he's like an evil Sherlock.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's the same thing with the Bruce Greenwood situation, and that badly written character and that badly written plot and that, but still they both played the hell out of it in that. I mean,
Totally.
Going back to Bruce Greenwood and that, one of the best death scenes I've ever seen in that.
Oh,
Like
so,
with his
so
face,
sad.
his expression and that, and everything that was going on, and again with Benedict Cumberbatch and that, he played the hell out of it and that with what he had. I felt that gravatos, I felt that menace of a character in that. If he had been another character in that, he would have been a great Star Trek villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you cast him in a future movie, dude. Even if he's the bad guy in the next movie, it would have been good. It was, I don't know. Let's move on to Act 2. Dr. McCoy and Marcus's daughter, Dr. Carol Marcus, spoiler, open
We're
a
gonna
door.
get there.
We are opened a torpedo at Harrison's urging, revealing the torpedoes contain cryogenically frozen humans.
Come on, Julian.
You gotta sell it, man. Where's your acting skills?
If he can even get it out.
McCoy explained, "What are torpedoes?" Those torpedoes. Harrison is taken to Enterprise brig where he reveals his true identity as Khan.
Ding.
Nudian Singh, a genetically engineered superhuman awoken by Admiral Marcus from centuries of sleep and forced to develop advanced weapons. This really turns the tables, as the true Khan man in the scenario is Marcus. He.
I didn't mean to leave.
Yeah, you left the he.
I'm just so excited about that.
That was a personal note to yourself.
Benedict Cumberbatch reveals that Marcus sabotaged Enterprise's warp drive, intending for the Klingons to destroy the ship after it fires on Kronos, which is misspelled both in the movie and on this outline, I should say. Sparking war with the
Honestly, that's
Klingon
straight from
Empire.
Wikipedia.
Khan, you believe it? Khan also gives Kirk a set of coordinates, which Kirk asks Scott to investigate. We already talked about that. Scott discovers the coordinates lead to a covert Starfleet, not Starfleet, Section 31 facility.
Still
And we-
Starfleet.
Starfleet is Section 31.
And we haven't even covert the whole film yet.
Oh God.
I mean, come on, guys.
Okay, the idea that Marcus sabotaged the Enterprise's warp drive, like, first of all, real sort of hand wavy bullshit. How? Because the crew's been there the whole time. Like, did he send one guy in? Like, that's a little to me. So
Yeah,
Carol.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
What do we blast? I just said blast. Aaron just touched on it a little bit. What do we think of the Admiral's involvement in this darker plot, which we've already touched on a little bit? Does this add more to the Khan character, or is this a big take on the Badmiral trope? Because this is a very big Badmiral trope.
it's all very like, we expect I'm gonna do this, and then I bet this character is gonna react like this, and then we're gonna do this. Like, I just feel like if this is his plan that he set into motion, it's very tenuous, and like you're really predicting shit so it'll happen your way. I don't know. It just feels like a shitty plan.
This reminds me of the second Amazing Spider-Man movie, where they're just like, here's two bad guys, but we really just needed one. Like, if John Harrison was a bad guy at the beginning and ended up becoming a good guy at the end, helping them defeat the Badmiral, that would have been a fine movie.
Spider-Man 3, which had 5 villains in it.
I said two because they had the Amazing Spider-Man. They had Green
Electro,
Rhino.
Electro, and then randomly Green Goblin at the end.
Yeah.
We were just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, go ahead, Hawk.
I'm wondering if Starfleet really does any psychological evaluations on their top people in that, because like if he had this many character defects in that, like, you know, at this point in his career in that, why was he still in that top chair?
maybe he was
and, like, what's the
recruited by
buildup
Section
for this
31.
guy? Like, we didn't get any. We've never met this character, and now we're introduced to him, and he's a fuckhead. Like, there's no real buildup.
And how
What's
awesome was it in the original Star Trek, like the old scientist films, when we found out like one of the admirals we had been seeing all along was bad in the last movie? Like that was so good. Like this one, Marcus, who cares?
Yeah.
The biggest problem I have with this is that he has this whole secret plan and this whole Section 31 plan, and there's actually like a Section 31 building on Earth, and then all this shit is happening like in orbit of Earth by the moon. And I'm like, and Aaron, I was saying this when we were talking last night, like, where the fuck is Starfleet? Where are all the ships monitoring this situation? Like,
Chilling in San Francisco.
Why
Bay.
are there no shields on the Starfleet building where all the admirals are? Security, fucking shuttles.
And how-
Starfleet,
yeah,
Starfleet is Starfleet, right? Like, they may not shoot first, but they're also not Greenpeace. Like, you know? Like, they're not Greenpeace. If the Enterprise was firing against another Federation looking ship, I feel like there would be a fleet. And like, listen, Aaron, you're I think you're a military brat, right? And you've played someone on military on TV, like, and we've all watched Battlestar Galactica. There's something called a combat air patrol that would also apply to a spacefaring organization. The fact that the Enterprise was able to get that messed up and have like Marcus do all this, and not have any ship show up is just
Yeah, well, think about it. Remember when, so on the news recently, when Biden got elected, thank God. Remember how when he took the lead, I'm sure if you followed the news, when they became more sure that he was going to become president, they restricted the airspace around his fucking house.
Mhm.
So let's apply that to Starfleet. Where is the airspace around the planet? You know, the center, the home world for the United Federation of Planets, or even around Starfleet, the buildings.
I have the answer to your question.
Okay.
It took the burn to happen, and they finally got a planetary shield.
Yeah,
That was it.
apparently.
I have
But
a-
no, this is poor story writing. Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Here's
Too
what-
trusting.
Here's one more thing. There's a big ship that's on fire in the, out, like in the orbit of Earth. Where's all the firefighter ships? Even Star Wars, like the shitty
Yeah, man, of
prequels,
course not.
had firefighters come up and be like, "That's fire's bad. We gotta get it out."
This fire's
Yeah,
bad.
you'd think
Oh,
a ship
Star
has fallen from the sky before they would be ready for such an eventuality.
Oh.
Speaking of which, maybe I'll bring it up later if we're getting into it in that. But there was a plot point of this that really kind of bothered me.
Hit it.
All right. Sulu told Spock that if they didn't get shields or power back up and that they'd incinerate going back into the atmosphere.
And then they didn't incinerate.
It's
Yeah.
bold of you to assume there would be continuity.
Not in this movie.
Moving on.
Continuity.
Continuity.
Thank you. I just didn't want to miss it.
Enterprise is intercepted by a much larger Starfleet warship, the USS Vengeance. What a lame name.
That is the worst.
Commanded by
That's because they really wanted you to know the theme.
Admiral Marcus, the only vengeance we really see in this film. Is there a pun in there?
That's just vengeance. I guess.
Yeah, The whole thing is both of them are out for revenge, but do they really get it?
Marcus demands that Kirk deliver Khan, but Kirk says, "Sorry, I can't do that," and Enterprise flees to Earth to expose him. After Vengeance disables Enterprise near the moon, a wizard came from the moon.
It's a space station.
Hawk and Eric got that reference. Kara reveals her presence aboard Enterprise to stop the attack. She says, "You can't mark us for death while I'm still aboard." So bad Admiral Marcus forcibly transport Carol to Vengeance before ordering Enterprise's destruction. Oh my god.
Wonderful.
I'm dying.
You're welcome.
Um
You can
Oh,
complain
that whole
about my bad
storyline
ones,
was
but-
trash.
so you guys know that I'm a huge ship person. I love ships. I got my little ships behind me. I got my big ships above. What do we think about the Vengeance in this film? Is it a
Dumb.
worthy adversary of the Enterprise, or is it just another big bad ship?
We don't know. It's just a ship we
like
see for a
Erin's
minute.
so blunt because she's drinking, but she's just like dumb. I hated it. Stupid.
It
Because
it is dumb.
It's like, we don't get a chance that. First of all,
No, you're fine.
they would never name a ship the Vengeance. I don't care if it's Section 31. Like that is so not Starfleet.
It'd be
And
named
it's
after
like-
somewhere in California.
Yeah, and also if it's a Section 31 ship, it should be like tiny and fucking stealth, not like big and dumb like it is. And so it's just bad storytelling, man. It's like we're so much bigger than you.
It's like making a bigger Death Star. Like it's
It is.
stupid.
yes,
I'm
this is my
flying the
planet, Death
USS
Star.
Betrayal. I'm totally a good guy, though. Totally a good guy.
Just going over to Twitch real quick. Lexi says, "Fun fact: they considered calling the film Star Trek Vengeance at one point. Yikes!"
Ooh, that would have made
Um,
more sense, right?
And well, yeah, I guess. Rob says it's even a lazy ship design. Big Constitution with black armor. At least the Wrath of Khan took a little time to do a kit bash to make the Reliant. I mean, that's a great point. No, it's an ugly ship, and I've always hated the design of it. I think it's lame. I'm like, I don't know. I think that's all that needs to be said about it. It's just a lame ass design.
I have a little
I'm
Hot
glad
Wheels
you had
version
that
of it,
question.
and it's missing, and I don't care that it's missing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just
It's where it needs to be, in the garbage.
So we get to see the little of Mr. Scott that we do, because Vengeance loses power after being sabotaged by our favorite Scotsman, who infiltrated the ship like any good ex-Starfleet officer,
Which is also hand wavy.
which any good Starfleet officer Scott to do. With transporters down, Kirk and Khan, with the latter's knowledge of the warship design, jump to. I'm just gonna stop real quick.
Space jump.
Because
There's so much.
2 movies in a row. 2. I'm looking
Yep.
at the camera. 2 movies in a row.
Mhm.
Like, get a fucking original idea. Jesus Christ.
But Julian,
Oh,
if we look at these writers and JJ and we take Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, this movie, it's like they're just picking like things that they like.
Transformers.
Yeah, Transformers. The
yeah.
first
Kurtzman and
Transformers was
Orsa.
all right.
Kurtzman and Orsa.
They
I
did
like
a
the
whole
first one.
scene.
Yeah.
Remember at the beginning of the movie where they're flying around in that shuttle, and we were like, "Oh my god, this is Rey and the Millennium Falcon!" Like, it was crazy.
Space jump. Listen, I will say to its credit that this space jump sequence is cooler than the original film space jump sequence. I will say that. I think so, at least.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Spock contacts his future self on New Vulcan, who tells him
Cameo.
of his own encounter with Khan and warns that he cannot be trusted. Spock
Ding.
says, "Say no more, fam," and goes to help. After fighting their way to the bridge, Khan overpowers Kirk, Scott, and Carol, kills Marcus, doesn't just kill Marcus, by the way, crushes his fucking skull,
Mhm.
and takes control of Vengeance. His superpowers are rather convenient.
Okay, guys, question. How much do you think that Paramount or whoever paid for that cameo with Nimoy?
None. I think
Oh.
I think it was normal. I don't
It's
think
a
it was anything
joke. It's a
special.
joke. How
all
much
they
was
had
the
to-
cameo?
Oh,
Can
You ruined
Right.
it.
That one
all they
just
had
got-
to
I
do
just got
actually
that.
was keep coffee ice cream on set.
Is that
That's
his
all
jam?
Nimoy wanted. He was like, as long as you keep coffee ice cream on set, which is my favorite.
He'll do
That's
anything?
amazing.
So I'm sure they paid him, but that's all
yeah.
he needed to actually stay on set.
So,
Love that, man.
so earlier they're talking about the Vengeance, and they're like, it needs a minimal crew. Like is Khan the minimal crew? One person?
Wait,
Or
wait.
s- or
It needs
people
a
like-
minimal crew, but it's big as fuck.
well,
Nothing makes sense.
Khan said that the ship could run on the computer if it needed to. So
The only constant is
Yeah.
Khan.
we were just talking about Leonard Nimoy appearing as Spock once again, and Brittany brings up a good point about this. Like, did we like that interaction and the fact that he gives them the advice about Khan? And listen, you got to remember, like, this is the last time that we ever saw Leonard Nimoy in Star Trek.
It makes me sad that this is the last time we see him
I
in
know.
Star Trek, because he did a wonderful job. I like when him and whatever Siler from
Zach Quinnan?
Heroes, yeah, from I like their
I
interaction.
knew you were like, heroes.
Heroes. I like their interaction because I like them playing off each other, and I thought they did a good job doing it in the last movie. And I feel like they saw that everyone liked them together, so they did it again in this movie.
You didn't think it was too highbrow?
Wow.
But I don't know. I guess it's cool. Did it serve anything for the, like, they just learned, like, hey, look, we met him before and he's bad.
We
That's it.
have a special visitor making an appearance. Come here, Cecily.
Oh, it's our
You-
favorite.
Can you show everybody that's watching the thing that you could do from Star Trek with your hands? You do it.
Cecily, do
it.
it with me.
Yeah. Good job, Cecily.
He's
Ninja
out of
Turtle
her
hands.
broken mind.
Hey, that's some good parenting over there, Julian. So
Yeah.
Julian just had his daughter came into screen and she did the Vulcan Live Long and Prosper, and it was
She
beautiful.
did.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't. I wish that he'd shown up for a different reason, or honestly, just not at all. Don't rely on your previous casts. Make this movie your own, like Star Wars.
It was just weird that they had, like, he literally showed up to be like, hey, back in
Cameo.
my timeline, Khan was bad, and this happened. Don't let it happen again. And I'm just like, just
Dude,
Yeah,
let
he-
him go.
they knew he
didn't
was
do
bad
that.
already. Like,
You can't
He's
just
the
run off
most
to your
dangerous person
past future
ever.
self.
Well, like that first movie when he showed up, it felt like he really contributed, and it was like a really beautiful moment. And this just felt like, thanks for saying things we, like you just said, Brittany. Thanks for saying shit we already know. Like,
I'm gonna read something from Twitch here from Rob, because I think we're all gonna agree with it. And he said, I know it's the last original footage of Nimoy in Trek, but I'm gonna split hairs and call the hollow recording of him in Disco Season 3 better. Yeah, it's from Unification, but I think it's better thinking about it this way. Yeah,
100%
it does.
Rob.
I like
It's-
that.
It makes
yeah.
sense there.
Yeah. It does.
job,
And I
Rob.
love that.
Guys, I'm going to Act 3 now. So, Khan demands that Spock returns his crucicles, also known as congregation, in exchange for the Enterprise officers. Spock complies, but he and McCoy decide to be McCoy and remove Khan's crew from the torpedoes. I'm trying to just push through these.
That's fine.
And remove Khan's crew from the torpedoes, perhaps pulling the greatest con of all time. Spock detonates the warheads for Spock value, crippling the ship. What does that mean? Spock value.
Shock value.
Shock value. Yeah.
Oh,
value.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. with both starships caught in Earth's gravity, they plummet toward the surface. Kirk enters Enterprise's radioactive reactor chamber to realign the warp core using some pretty serious core strength. In a reversal of what occurred in Wrath of Khan, he sacrifices himself to save the ship. Spock didn't react well to that. Reactor well to that. Okay, I got it. Guys, this is a pretty drastic change from the Wrath of Khan film. How did we feel about the roles being reversed? Do you prefer one death scene to the original? Like, I only saw this one, so like I've seen clips of the other one. What do you guys think?
This can Hawk me. I'm gonna go first.
Eric.
So this, like, we've met this Spock and this Kirk for one movie, and they didn't really interact. This movie, they sort of just bickered the whole time. His death, like, together, it didn't feel earned. Like, there's like
he was hardly dead. He was dead for like 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, but even before we do the magic blood and all that garbage, like it were they supposed to be best friends? Because I didn't feel like it. It just felt like he lost his first.
Acted the hell out of that scene.
No,
though,
he didn't.
Because
he
he was really crying.
He was awful.
He tried. He
That-
tried to sell it.
I
They
think
just
the
didn't have
writing
build
was
up to their
awful,
friendship.
guys. He wasn't awful. The writing was awful.
Both were awful. It was horribly written and horribly acted by
It's
both
like
actors.
Anakin Skywalker being
tried.
like, "The sand, it's so coarse."
I would prefer that.
That was
because I
actually
can.
better than
I
this.
feel like his tears were real because he was that frustrated that there was no build up to this emotional scene.
Yeah, it was
Like the tears felt
just
very
garbage.
real to me. That wasn't just like eye drops. Let's smear some shit under your face.
This was they already decided to go the Khan route, right? And
God.
You missed a few earlier.
I know, and we'll have to fix the count. I'm not going to go and edit them in. If you miss some, you miss some.
Like can't.
I'll live with and accept that they put him in this film, but I can't live with this cheap ass redo of probably one of the most like meaningful moments in Star Trek and possibly in film between Kirk and Spock and Wrath of Khan, like where you feel it and you probably did cry the first 10 15 times you watch it, and maybe every time you still do.
When I think about it, I start to tear up.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah,
Man,
it's
we
very
gotta watch this
meaningful in the
movie, you
original film.
guys.
this is so
Wrath of Khan's fun.
unearned and such
Yeah.
crap and such just like you want to elicit a cheap, like this is a wrestling
It
term,
feels
but you want to
cheap,
get
you're
a,
right.
you want to get a cheap pop. That's what you want, and they do. Lexi was talking about this, whether it's in her mailbag later or in the chat. If this movie ended about 20 minutes earlier, we would have been spared this crap. And I'm very sad that it's in this.
Like
Well,
this.
we said
like,
it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna real quick. This movie's too long. That's my biggest thing. There's a lot of dead space. There's a lot of bullshit. This movie's too long.
Like the original Spock death was so influential to me and my friends as kids. Like we used to go to Windows and do that. Like you
I was
shall,
about to say that.
like, and just go.
One
You
time
shall and
I was
forever
at the
they'll be our
gym.
friend.
I was at the gym, like, and my uncle, or no, sorry, I was walking outside because I was working at the grocery store next to the gym. My uncle was inside lifting weights, and I saw him through the glass, and I literally just went like this and put my hand up, and then he did it, and then we both pretended to like cry, and then I was like, and pretended to die. And
Yeah.
people walked by outside, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, we were just acting out Star Trek," and they're like, "Okay."
And like they didn't even do the hand thing. Like they just did a regular hand. Like it would have felt
Yeah.
more meaningful.
No,
He
Kirk,
like
did
he
he
was
try?
like
A little bit.
"Ugh."
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, like, it didn't feel like that to me. It just looked terrible. Just terrible.
The thing is, don't
Yes.
remake a thing that doesn't need to be remade. Like, remember when they remade Battlestar? The original Battlestar's fun and has some fun moments, but damn, what a remake! That movie apparently was so baller. Why did they remake that?
Wrath of Khan, the moment, yeah.
Yeah, why?
it's this kind of hubris like with JJ and that, it's how do I
We've had this
describe it?
talk a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like a direct, like I find him he's a good director. Maybe not the best at storytelling in that, but he does know direction in that. But when he
sorry,
gets-
Hawk, let me interrupt you real quick, and you can keep going. JJ has said multiple times that he's really bad at doing part 2s and part 3s.
That is true. He's good at
I
the
believe
first
that.
one.
He's
Stop
an idea
there.
man. He's like,
Anyway,
"Do
let
it."
me let you continue. I had to say that.
there's this hubris in taking that an iconic moment, and you're right, Julian. I mean, like, this isn't just like a great death in Star Trek, and that it might be probably in a top 5 list of deaths on film, and that Wrath of Khan and Spock dying in it, it's up there. Maybe might even be number 1. So like, I get angry thinking about that.
Get angry, Hawk.
I
Do
feel
it.
like Hawk getting angry I've never really seen.
I don't even know where to go with this.
Like
Oh,
it's
wow.
so it's
I love it, Hawk.
It's so frustrating.
Let
like
it flow. Let the anger flow.
like why would you
Yes.
try and mimic one of the best movies? Like you're bringing Khan and Cool already. Like just save it for the next movie. Or JJ can't. JJ.
And the worst part about it
He's
is
putting
it was a
puns in
preview.
as we speak.
It
Y'all
was
are
a
taking too
preview
long.
of things to come as far as JJ's work and that, like
God.
here's Star Wars and that. Go for it.
And even
I'm
then,
dying right
oh my
now.
god.
Eric,
He
Aaron,
did go for it though. There's so many holes, so many plot holes.
let's move us along before we crap on this one scene for another
Yeah.
hour.
I'm just laughing because we have a little bit of an outline, and as I'm looking, I'm watching Brittany put in a new pun. I'm dying. Okay,
Did you? I missed it.
I love this pod. In classic bad guy fashion, Kong crashes with a vengeance into downtown San Francisco in an attempt to destroy Starfleet headquarters. Meanwhile, McCoy discovers that Khan's blood has regenerative properties. Ooh, that may save Kirk. Spock pursues Khan through the city, and the two engage in hand-to-hand combat. Uhura beams down and
shit, I
stuns
hit both.
Khan. That had to have hurt her. Spock prepares to kill Khan, but Uhura stops him, explaining he's their only chance to save Kirk. So, what do we think about the idea that Khan's superhuman blood could be used to save Kirk? Stupid. Spock also shows a lot of rage after Kirk's death. Did we like this for the character? We see him struggle with emotions a lot in the JJ verse. So, like, what do we feel about all that?
This is so fucking stupid. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah,
First,
he might as well
first-
be human.
First
This
up,
movie, oh, go ahead.
in the Wrath of Khan, we were looking at a friendship that probably what was it like
30 years,
It had to be
30
like 30 years of
Yeah.
friendship between these two guys and that, and which
Mhm.
added weight to it and that. Now here's the same situation and that between two guys who are pretty much on the outs with each other.
Frenemies.
Yeah, frenemies and that. They're really at the start of this relationship and that. So it's like Kirk dying and that, and like Spock having a total meltdown.
Nothing
over it.
is earned in this movie.
Nothing is earned.
Ugh.
Thank you.
The super blood, the super triple blood isn't even earned because JJ and writer crew, you know what I have to say? It's amazing to me that Kurtzman worked on this film, and I love Alex Kurtzman. This is not me being a Dreckie and shitting on him.
But it Kirk
Worked
season.
on this and the next one, but then has done this beautiful, amazing job.
That's called
This perfect
growth.
discovery. It is called
I
growth.
was gonna say it's also having a TV series to do this versus trying
Right,
to do
fair.
some blockbuster
But,
film
like,
that somebody
I
else
wonder
is
how
in
much
charge
of Paramount was like, you know what? Khan was good in the original. Let's put this in
Mhm.
there.
That's
Yeah.
100% it.
And
They were
also-
just like, you want your own villain? Khan.
Why wasn't the ship filled with tribbles at the end? I
But-
call bullshit.
Yes.
Because the trouble with Edward. That's why. The trouble
know.
with Edward.
They had
I know,
vacuums
but,
already
like-
ready.
They could have see there are so many moments they could the best films like this have like little moments of fun, and it's like that could have been like a fun line, but they're like, no, let's make this movie undesirable.
Just to
I
say,
knew
like,
you were
what
tribble when you walked in.
I was gonna say about Kurtzman and the writing here is like the super blood isn't even earned because they have to treat their audience so stupid. And in the middle of like kind of an important conversation with Khan, Kirk has to like look over in Bones and be like, "What are you doing with that tribble? Don't treat your audience like they're fucking morons. People
Yeah.
will figure it out.
Yeah.
They will."
Why does he have a Tribble on the ship? Like it's all
in his
too
Scouties?
Tribble me this
easy.
Batman.
Also, Brittany, now all of that I can hear in my head, you need to record the alternate song. I knew you were Tribble when you walked in.
Yeah, no, I thought about it.
I can hear it now. Like,
Tribble,
got it.
Tribble, Tribble.
it needs to happen. Okay, so patrons, when we get 25, we're gonna get Brittany to sing that song.
Oh God, I don't even know all the words.
Me neither.
The stupid
Do
blood
Tribble
thing.
scream
Oh my
because
God.
we can replace that.
Totally.
Like the goat scream.
Okay, so Khan and Kirk become blood brothers, and Kirk is revived. Tutankhamun is sealed away like leftovers in his cryogenic pod and stored with his compatriots. 1 year later, Kirk speaks at Enterprise's rededication ceremony, which also serves to honor those who have died. The Enterprise crew embarks on a 5-year exploratory mission, with Kirk echoing his pledge as a captain. Do we like the way this wraps up? No. Is this a fair treatment for Khan in the end? Thoughts on Kirk's speech and his journey throughout the film? Anyone?
The stupid movie.
Eric
knowing
hates
that knowing that they're going on the 5-year mission and that they weren't already on it at the beginning of the movie makes me sad.
Yeah.
Khan being frozen and just I don't know put in where the Ark is, Ark
Well,
of the
he's
Covenant.
being
Like,
conserved, so
he is.
first of all,
but
smart choice.
I feel like they would have like studied his blood. Like they're scientists. I feel like this is a thing they would have done. Like
Mhm.
there was no him going back into cryo had no purpose. Like he's just hidden for a future sequel if they wanted to do that or something.
I
I
think
don't know.
that
It
was
seems
it.
so stupid. God, this movie.
I have a question. Why did they need Khan since they had 72 other augments just lying around in cryo? Why did they need him?
He augment the most to them. He augment the most.
Oh, by the way,
His blood was less frozen than the rest. Right?
That is such a good
Wait,
point, Hawk.
hear me
Whoa.
out. He was already thawed, so there was less condensation.
I think it's time for one of these. We've made an hour 7, and this hasn't happened yet. But I think that Cisco needs to intervene.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
No
Very
one
nice,
knew.
Sir, I've said
No
a
one
lot
knew
that
in
I
this
didn't
movie.
write down.
Well, Eric, I agree with you. Like, I think so. They did 3 movies here, and nothing really connects these 3 movies. And we're not at that 3rd movie yet, but it would have been better if we had that first movie, which I thought it's a pretty solid movie. And then they're on their mission.
Yep.
And then the 3rd movie, they're still on their mission, and there's a connection there, and they're on a 5-year mission. So it's a cast that's by itself. It's very Voyager. They have to get to know each other. There's a lot less of this external bullshit.
It would
That-
make more sense for Kirk's journey too, because he's exhausted with the mission, like the 5-year mission at that
Mhm.
point. Like we could see that happen over the films. Oh my God, this is
I'm gonna
movie.
make a bold prediction about when we watch Beyond in May. I'm gonna end up actually loving that film because
love
I
Beyond.
used to love this film and I used to kind of shit on Beyond. I think that it's gonna flip. I really
like
do.
a motorcycle in space.
You know, they say your taste buds change every 7 years, and it's been 8 since this movie came out. So, baby,
Very true.
Beyond's
man.
gonna taste
I
real
used to
sweet.
defend this movie to holy hell. To holy hell.
You know what's funny
Must
is
have gotten so much flack.
I was messaging Hawk when I watched this movie, and I was like, you know what? I don't hate it as much, but it's also just like it's there. It's nothing to me.
Mhm.
That's
Like-
how it
We
is
had
to
fun
me.
watching
I watch
it.
it, and I'm just
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, it was
Yeah.
a film.
It's dumb, but it's dumb fun, forgettable, but we enjoyed it. Like and not to bring back the past controversy, but I did not enjoy watching Nemesis, and I would not choose to watch it again. But I'd watch this movie again. Like it wouldn't be my first choice, but I'm wondering with Beyond.
I
the
would
thing
watch Nemesis before I watch this again.
There we go, differences. But the thing I remember about Beyond is really being. I remember walking out and being like, "What the fuck just happened in them?" It was another case of like being confused. I don't want to get into that, but right now I'm like, I hope I enjoy it more because I literally don't even know what that movie's about.
You know what I'm ready for? I'm
I-
ready for some fun facts.
I feel like
Fun
I would watch
facts.
Final Frontier
We're
before
gonna
this
do
movie.
fun
No.
facts. Do we want to do our ratings now or after fun facts?
Let's do ratings now and then fun facts.
Okay, so, do we want to do like an overall ranking on the JJ-verse films, or do you want to wait till we do the 3rd film for that?
No, let's rate this one individually.
Okay, so rating out of 10 Kirk punches to an unmoving Khan.
Okay. Oh God.
So becoming of a captain when he does.
I'm
And,
gonna
and
give it
Twitch and YouTube, get involved with the ratings, please.
I'm gonna give it a 6 because I still had fun watching it. I didn't hate it, but it didn't add anything to my life. When I talk about Trek and I'm telling somebody I'm getting excited about it, this film does not come up. So, a 6 Kirk punches.
6.5 Kirk
6.5.
punches
There
out
you go.
of 10. Yeah, that's
I
it.
think that's about where I'm at now. Like, I think when I initially saw it, it was just like a fun summer block. But like, out of all the films coming out that year, like it was another like fun one I just saw. But now, having seen as much Trek as I have and knowing a lot more, like I had basically seen Wrath of Khan, and that was it for like anything of the original series. So I got the references, and I was like, oh, cool, interesting. But yeah, looking back, I'm just like, this does not age well. And I love the side character, not the side characters, but the rest of the main cast that were basically demoted to side characters in this. So that's going to be a 6.5 out of 10 for me too.
I'm gonna have to give it a 3.
Ooh.
This was bad all around. It was a bad sequel to a really good film that I still love in that. And like 8 years has not, changed the flavor of this wine and that. In fact, it's
Yeah.
probably made it a lot more sour with
Yeah. I think originally I would have given it a 3, but seeing like I watched it again and I guess I warmed up to it a little bit. And seeing Sulu get in the chair makes me happy anytime I see him in the chair. So I'll give it a 4.5. Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go.
Well, I will say back in the day, this was like an 8 out of 10 for me. It just dropped a little bit, 6.5.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying
It
it's
was
like,
rated a lot higher
bad.
for me back in the day.
I just feel like the first one, the third one are like boop for me.
Sorry, one more thing. I will say the IMAX sequences in this movie are really
Mhm.
cool. Like I thought they looked really good.
It's a
That's-
beautiful film, just
Yeah.
boring.
The
Yeah.
CG and everything is amazing. So going over to our Twitch and YouTube ratings, Yum Yum Podcast gives it a 1.
Ooh.
Rob gives it a 5 out of 10. It happened. Glad that I didn't hate it this time like I did in 2013. Mag is sad that we hated on the film.
Oh, Mag.
NYR Light gives it a 6 out of 10. Head crushes, waste potential, but still watchable. And I think those are all of our ratings. So yeah.
Yeah.
Time to go
It's
see some
interesting
fun
how
facts.
time changes our ratings.
I know.
Yeah, fun fact time, and I think Eric is taking the lead on this.
All right. So, first fun fact. Benedict Cumberbatch's character was not revealed to the actor until a week after he was cast. A studio representative flew to London from Los Angeles with the script handcuffed to his wrist.
Super secret Section 31 shit.
Drama.
They were like, this is how dark and serious this movie's gonna be.
Yeah. They cast him like, you're John Harrison.
You're in the dark, and we're
You're
serious.
actually Khan. Ding.
So during the scene when Kirk wakes up in bed with the two cat-like aliens, their tails are not computer graphics. And
Ooh.
Brittany, this is such a cool fun fact. I didn't know that. And they are actually like remote control animatronic tails that protrude over the bedding. And apparently Chris Pine said that the tails super creeped him out and that they reminded him of like spider legs and he hates spiders.
Interesting.
That's a way to ruin the mood in the bedroom.
Ew, spiders. So during filming, Simon Pegg pranked the cast into convincing them to wear neutron cream on their face while filming in the very real laser room because of neutron damage.
What's neutron?
Yeah, the
cream?
film where they like the reactor room and like that area where Kirk like dies and they do the whole like trying to recreate that scene. That was like a real place that they went into while they were doing maintenance, and like real lasers are there. So Simon Pegg was like, okay, but before we go in, just in case, like you have to wear this cream.
Oh, it was like a safety cream?
Well, he was just messing with them.
No,
but
I
he-
meant like as a
yeah.
joke. That's hilarious.
Yeah, because like you know how like you want to prevent the sun from giving you cancer or whatever. So he's just like, well, you need to wear this laser cream, protect from the neutrons.
To answer Rob's question, yes, they were supposed to be Cations. They are actual, canon
Oh.
Cations on screen. Yes.
Oh, cool. I didn't know
Yep.
that.
Yep. Is it me?
Yep.
One of the shuttles in the shuttle bay is named Takai, a reference to George Takai, the original Hikaru Sulu. Yay!
Ooh.
Awesome.
One of San Francisco's signature cable cars is visible in a shot of the city. Blowing up, probably.
Very nice.
Mhm.
So, despite being in several major battles, the USS Enterprise doesn't actually fire her weapons at any point in this film.
Because
Oh,
why would you?
I
Isn't that a
didn't
weird
realize
fun
that.
fact?
That's weird.
Oh, at 1:17:22, when vengeance fires on the Enterprise when they are both at warp, one can fleetingly see an R2-D2 being sucked out into space along with various debris tools and Enterprise crewmen.
JJ just wanted to do Star Wars.
The second movie with R2. And then originally conceived as a retelling of Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, Kurtzman and Orside define the main theme of Into Darkness as how far will we go to exact vengeance and justice on an enemy that scares us? How far should we go from our values? They added that running from personal values is a personal struggle where, the enemy's blood is within us. We are the enemy. We must not succumb to it. We are the same.
Did they really read Heart of Darkness?
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say
I think
that.
that's a good story though, but it's not in the movie. Like I think they tried to put it in the movie, but it's just overshadowed by all the explosions and dumb shit. Like that is a good story. Like we talk about this all the time when Starfleet they do things that are not Starfleet, and I think that is always the struggle of the many iterations of the show to remain Starfleet in the when you're being confronted by horrible things. And I feel like that's what they're trying to say in this film, but they don't really do it.
Yeah.
Well, at least the name was close to being the same. Julian, do we happen to have the subspace poll results?
We do have the subspace poll results, and we did a very quick 1-hour subspace poll tonight, and we asked the question, where does Star Trek Into Darkness stand for you? Very simple question, very easy. 54% of you said it was great, and this was actually the overwhelming answer. So there are people that love this movie. 15% said so-so, 23% not great, and 8% said, you should have let me sleep.
Yeah, overall, it's like
very good.
50% or better.
Listen, it's not a bad movie if you want a summer blockbuster. If that is what you're going to the movies to see and you don't have any connection to Star Trek and you want to see two ships beat the shit out of each other,
Totally.
it's a good movie. There are moments in it that are very good. Overall, it's just not though anymore. Like looking at it, this movie's 8 years old now. It is
Compared to all the
aged
good
well.
new Trek
Yes.
we got,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, we needed that as a stepping stone.
Yeah,
but we're
pretty,
here
no
now.
substance.
Yeah.
Noe was doing dishes but gives it a 7.5.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, we got a review and deep dive, and things will change over time. We could come back 10 years from now and be like, you know what? It was bold what they did in this movie. Like, opinions change over
And then
time.
Hawk will
like
be-
I said, mine was higher.
be like,
And
it's a 1.
listen, to bounce off what Brittany just said too, like we're not the kind of podcast that is going to say everything is great for the sake of saying everything's great. Like,
Nemesis.
yeah, we're not going to be those Dreckies that just say, "Oh, new Star Trek sucks" and all that's bad. Like we love Star Trek, but there's going to be differentiating opinions every now and then.
Man, we didn't
totally
like
cool.
Sometimes
Picard.
we yell at each other.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah.
No one on this show liked Picard.
It's you know we all
like
like
two
and
parts
dislike
of
different
it.
things, but we agree on that shit.
Hey, it might get better this season. But
Fingers
speaking
crossed,
of
man.
opinions, we've displayed ours, but now we're gonna read some of yours that you sent to our mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
Cool. I stalled to hoping you'd hit the button.
You did a good job.
Lexi wrote, Into Darkness is an interesting film to retroactively look back on and discuss. Having had to wait 4 years since Star Trek 09 for a sequel, mid-2013 amongst a packed summer of big blockbusters, arguably the height of Benedict Cumberbatch's popularity, the intense marketing campaign, and the anticipation of JJ Abrams being announced to make a new Star Wars film, which is Star Wars Episode 7, this film had all the hype behind it. And when I saw it in cinemas, I liked it. I had a good time, but upon rewatches, one notices the cracks in the canvas. This is basically where I stand too. Like the hype really got
Yeah.
me. It was a great summer blockbuster.
Great trailers,
Um,
great posters.
She says, I do not think Into Darkness. I was like, ID. Into Darkness is a wholly terrible film. It is far from the worst of the franchise, in my opinion, and it has some genuine potential within its story and characters. Second term Obama era, and having a film exploring the use of drone strikes, the military-industrial complex, the morality of stopping conflict before it's allowed to happen, state-sanctioned terrorism, and the use of civilians as collateral damage, etc. All very interesting concepts. But it's all tied down by nonsensical writing, truly awful treatment of its female characters, the worst kind of fan service that brings the story to a crushing halt, confusing new people and feeling cheap to established fans, and of course a third act that essentially throws out the rest of the film's build-up for Wrath of Khan Redux and Magic Blood.
Yeah.
I've often felt that this film essentially ended...
Sorry.
It's okay. I've
Scared
often
me.
felt that had the film essentially ended 20 minutes sooner and was more Space Seed inspired, Khan kills Marcus, and then Kirk has to make the morally gray choice of letting Khan go off in the vengeance with his family, allowing the man who killed Pike to get away, but also taking the full blame for all the events, leaving Kirk's crew safe from judgment, but leaving Kirk conflicted on his choices. I feel I would have overall happier thoughts on this film. Can you believe I did that without breathing? That was great.
That was good.
I have really good breath control. I've learned that recently. I will give it this though. While I personally prefer The Force Awakens to Star Trek 09, Into Darkness is a much stronger second endeavor than The Rise of Skywalker from Abrams.
That's the nicest thing I've ever seen written about Rise of Skywalker.
It's so true.
Just real quick, Rob had a great comment. Oh yeah, civilians is collateral damage. Like the millions of people in San Francisco who got squished by the crashing vengeance who never even get mentioned in the film.
I mean, that's every time. Smush.
Can we
Anyway,
move
Hawk,
on?
you're up.
All right. So Jay wrote, I have been a Star Trek fan since the mid 90s, and I might say that ID is probably my absolute favorite film I have seen of all of them. If I had
Wow.
to count on the number of rewatches I have done of all the Trek films. I am not sure which I've seen more, this either ID or FC, First Contact. I wasn't a big fan of Star Trek 09, but I watched it as it was a new Trek, which new Trek is always great to look forward to. When I had watched ID for the first time, I hadn't seen TWOK,
Throughout
but
the
I heard a lot of backlash when they were reporting that Khan was leaked. As someone who still now in 2021 isn't that big a fan of TOS, seen a very limited number of episodes, seeing storylines that was from that series, but with a modern crew, even if it was short, like the last act of the film, it made me appreciate the writing staff just like I do with Discovery, Picard, and Lower Decks. How they are extracting some tiny nuggets just for fan service. I will say I disagree with how they copied the Kirk Spock death. It truly wasn't needed. It was probably the strongest film out of the three, based off the last time I watched Beyond, which was a while ago, because maybe my opinion will change when I next rewatch Beyond, but as of today, ID is the best of the trilogy.
Ooh, hot take.
Very hot
take.
take.
All
Just
right.
TV.
All right. Yum Pod wrote, this film is the absolute bane of our existence. I'm glad you gave me this
I
one.
love the differing opinions. Oh my god.
I'm going to restart. This film is the absolute bane of our existence and one of, if not the worst Star Trek films. The Kelvin films were apparently supposed to tell different stories and show us cool new adventures of those familiar characters, but immediately dragged in a beloved villain and just half-heartedly remade one of the best films in the entire franchise. The marketing and lies shot this film in the foot before it even came out. The fact that they thought we didn't know that it was going to be Khan was laughable. The casting of a white British man instead of a person of color really was the nail in the coffin to the notion that this film would have a single shred of integrity. We may be harsh on some choices made in modern Star Trek, but Into Darkness is filled to the brim with truly embarrassing, degrading, and harmful things that were rightfully judged harshly at the time of release and will only grow harsher as time marches forward.
We didn't talk about that with the
Carol
stupid
Marcus?
not nude scene, but like bra and panty scene that JJ
Yeah.
actually apologized for.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Carol Marcus thing. Like, even as a woman, even as a gay woman, watching that, I'm just like, that, no.
What do you mean even as? You mean as a woman? It's like,
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like for everyone across the board, it's just kind of like, oh, wait, why? It's such an awkward, weird scene, and then it's like, as
it's
a
a
woman,
fucking
like, it's
relic
just,
of the past.
Especially since
like women, we're used to seeing other women
Yeah.
have to do this on screen, but it's just kind of like, oh my god, that was so
This is
unnecessary.
Star Trek in
yeah, there were-
2013.
there was so much backlash after Enterprise started doing those gel scenes.
Oh my
You
god.
thought they would have learned from that. Anyway. The film spends most of its time refocusing on 9/11 truth or nonsense, fourth nostalgia, dumb action, terrible relationship drama, chasing the trends of what was popular at the time, hence Cumberbatch's casting, instead of actually telling a good story and justifying why we should spend time with these recasted versions of the characters we already loved.
I'm going to disagree with the one thing that Yummy on Pod says about the casting, because we've talked about this already a bit in detail on Discord, and I'll say it again here. they had to crunch to find someone to play Khan because they put all their money into Benicio del Toro. He literally backed out at the last possible minute. They wanted Edgar Ramirez. He backed out. There was a third option. I don't remember their name. And then it was literally like, we have no one to play Khan.
But I call bullshit
Cumberbatch
on that. I call bullshit because they could. Okay, they have a whole casting department. Did they only have one big famous person? They couldn't have cast an unknown. They couldn't have auditioned other people. Like
Not
I
the
call
role of Khan in a Star
I
Trek movie.
call bullshit on that 100% because I think an unknown would have been way better for that
I don't
character.
like the casting choice. I'm not agreeing with the
No,
casting.
I know that's what you're saying, but I call bullshit on
Aaron,
the.
they ran out
we
of
had
the
no-
free POC they knew. That's
Yes,
it.
that's what I'm calling bullshit on. There were other options. They had all the time in the world. They had all the money.
Well, you
Call
remember.
bullshit.
Well, hold on. You have a casting department, right? That
Mhm.
probably doesn't want to cast a Cumberbatch, but at that point, you have Paramount probably breathing down their necks like, you need to cast someone, and if this person is available, that's who you need to cast. Like, people have to remember that there's all sorts of other factors. Like,
Julian,
it's not just like
if that's how it went down, that's
we
how it
can
went
all
down.
guess,
but I
but we
call
were
bullshit.
not in the room where it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seemed. It just
Hamilton, but I
seemed.
just want to say we're not the casting directors. We cannot speak on this. We don't know 100% what happened.
Twitch,
It's
let us
unfortunate,
know
though.
what
It's
you think.
unfortunate. As
It
good
just
as
seems.
Cumberbatch is, it's unfortunate that they
Yeah.
did cast a white actor because it does take away from the character a bit.
Yeah. There's like a billion people on the planet. That's all I'm saying. Well, there's
The-
more than a billion.
Mag, you shouldn't feel stupid, by the way. Sorry, you shouldn't feel stupid for enjoying the film. Like, there's aspects of this film that I enjoy, so like that's why I gave it like a 6.5.
We had fun watching
There's
this.
still good stuff, and
Yeah.
and listen, like we did the poll, like there's a majority of people that love this film. It's both on the audience and critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's in the 80s. Like, people
Oh,
love
wow.
this film. There's no reason to if you, it's like I love Nemesis and Aaron hates it. Like, everybody loves.
but it's all
the
good, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
Magbag,
I know I love
gave
some
this
shit that
film
you
an 8 out of
probably
10 when I watched it
dislike.
originally.
And Julian.
People in our chat or in our
It is a beautiful
mailbag
film.
like it too.
Yeah.
So don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of people like this film.
IDIC, IDIC.
The other two people who were considered were Jordi Molla from Bad Boys 2 and Damien Bashir from A Better Life.
Got it.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
I heard Bashir and I was like, what?
I'm going to
Moving on.
I'm gonna read my mailbag, and Mag, you definitely should not feel stupid. Please don't.
I like so many bad movies, man.
Yeah,
It's fine.
exactly.
It is beautifully
I
shot.
used
We
to
did
I
say
used
that.
to like defend Battlefield Earth. Okay, so
Eee.
just remember that. Remember that when you feel stupid for
Can we
like
pull
some
up those
things.
archive tweets?
You cannot, because I get shit from my wife about it every day. So Rob wrote, I didn't like Star Trek Into Darkness at all when it came out. It's a mess, and the scene that tried to copy the Wrath of Khan was stupid. I gave it another shot when it came out on disc a few months later and hated it. Last night was the first time I've seen it since then, and I didn't totally hate it. Like, there's a lot of nonsense, well, that happened, and just a total failure to make anything feel like it mattered. But I was pleasantly surprised that instead of finding it painfully stupid, this time it was just harmlessly stupid. Good company makes all the difference.
That's true.
Agree.
If
agree.
Rob can change his opinion, there's hope for us all.
Indeed.
That's why it's fun to do these watches together, and like I totally agree because I don't super love this movie, but I had a really fucking good time watching it. And now I'm gonna read Noe's mailbag, which says, "Ouch! So much negativity for this film so far. I'm not going to defend its missteps, which have been documented by the collective. However, as a film experience, I believe Into Darkness is another excellent addition in the Kelvin timeline of movies. It has thrills, the intense moments, and fantastic designs that scream summer movie or summer popcorn movie. It surely could have been more of a Star Trek movie instead, but I also walk the line cautiously when it comes to being disappointed about receiving a movie that I needed to be different. Example, The Last Jedi, which I also love. I'll be on my hill if anyone wants to come at me." And then he put the Janeway emoji, which I love. And Noe, you're right on. I think that's what we've been saying all along. Is like, listen, it was fun. We enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. People who don't know Trek could watch this movie and have a good time. So I'm good with this film. Let's keep it.
Okay, so Mag wrote, the opening 10-minute sequence on Nibiru is super exciting.
It's so
Agreed.
good.
Mhm.
And the mise-en-scène is stunning. That's true, because at first you don't even know, you're like, what's going on? Who are these people? So I do like that it starts out with that action immediately. The camera following Kirk and Bones off and over the cliff is incredible. The contrast between the fiery volcano and the underwater environment is fun. This has got to be one of the best action film openings ever. The humor is a strength and captures the relationship between Kirk, Spock, and Bones. I agree with this because it
Mhm.
feels the most like they're actually the friends that do this together, and friends and colleagues that do this together. And the casting is perfect. Like many others, I feel Cumberbatch as Khan just doesn't work. They missed an opportunity to create a new interesting villain terrorist, John Harrison, but gotta say, Cumberbatch is very good in the role. I agree with this, because my main thing is, like, I really like Khan, but Khan should have stayed in Wrath of Khan. Cumberbatch is really good as Khan, but Cumberbatch should have just been this new villain terrorist, John Harrison.
Mhm.
So, Mag, what you said, 100%, I agree with every single sentence you just
I
said.
think we all do. Actually.
Yeah, and just real quick, the opening of this film is so freaking good. Like
Totally.
I love the opening 10 minutes, and I'm gonna say this to the people on Twitter and Facebook and all the people who are like, well, it doesn't make any scientific sense for the Enterprise to be underwater. Suspend your fucking disbelief.
We're
It's such an
watching Star
awesome fucking
Trek.
They're in
scene.
space.
Well, and they're
Why
doing.
wouldn't
Eric
they be able
said
to be
it.
underwater?
That
Eric, you said
underwater
it.
There's
scene,
no
man.
air in space.
5-year mission. They're on a mission. Like, that would have been fun. Like, let's continue to the next
Yep.
thing. You almost had it, guys. You
The,
almost had
the
it.
Enterprise coming out of the water and then flying over the
Oh,
people.
so
and then
good.
the shot
That's
of
a
it
cool
going
shot.
towards the volcano.
I love
One of
yeah.
the most beautifully shot things in Star Trek ever.
when that species draws the ship and then
Right.
it morphs
Yeah.
into the actual ship. Oh my god, it's such a good sequence. Like that whole.
And when Bones says, "My God, man, that was our ride. You just stunned our ride."
Such a good part, yeah.
Oh, good.
Bones so
It's
good.
like, that's our ride, man. And you're just like, you are Bones. You
Mm.
are McCoy.
Yes.
Such good. Oh, sorry, there was more.
Oh,
I
yes.
totally moved on. I love the scene on the shuttle where Spock and Uhura argue. This scene slows down as Spock confesses his feelings and he calls Uhura Nyota. And Uhura has stuff to do for a change. That's true. For a little bit, she does have stuff to do. The reversal at the end of, I guess,
Star Trek 2.
Yeah, okay. Wrath of Khan, right? Okay,
Yep.
Star Trek 2 is a bit much, but on this watch was moving all the same. I wish the writers had freed themselves from the Khan Star Trek 2 storyline, but all in all, the film is impressive in its technical and aesthetic aspects. Once again, I agree with all
Yep.
that. If they would have just taken Khan out of it, probably would have made it better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh,
But gorgeous. Chef's kiss. Look at that ship. Look at them nacelles.
NY Rawlight wrote, Into Darkness is a movie that had promise, but left me walking away feeling like it fell short of its potential. It made sense that the writers would dip into the rich history of TOS and Trek. Part of the fun of the Kelvinverse is seeing how things could go differently. For instance, how would the Kelvinverse Federation deal with the Borg or the Dominion? That's why I'd love to see a TNG-era Kelvinverse film or television show. I agree with that. As for Into Darkness, it was painful to see Cumberbatch play Khan. It was made in 2013, not 1967. You can't say it was hard to find an actor who could play a Sikh character. If they had Khan died, if they had said Khan died and one of his subordinates replaced him, that would have been more palatable for me.
Eric, you know what they say? Seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
The emotional aspect of the Kirk death scene was so spoiled after seeing what happened with the child at the beginning of the movie and the Tribble experiment. I definitely watch Into Darkness over Insurrection, Final Frontier, and Generations, so it's not the worst Trek film.
I don't know. I like Generations better, but
I didn't mind Generations.
Yeah.
Noe was asking about the beeps for Khan, and Rob explained it to him, and he goes, "Oh snaps, that could be a dangerous drinking game." Yeah,
We would
be
die.
I thought
We
about
would
that
die.
halfway through, but I didn't say anything because I don't want to die. But
I think
listen,
yeah.
if you want to listen to this podcast and drink every time you hear that ding, you might
No,
be
because
dead.
then they'll have too high alcohol.
We should not endorse that because we will get sued and lose that.
Very nice.
battle.
Brittany.
I think
Blood
Lexi
alcohol
wrote that.
content.
Julian, you got to
Julian?
give her a ding for that.
Ding.
Oh,
It was good.
And
It was
shut up,
good.
Leslie.
Lexi,
is
loved
there anything else in the chat we should read? 'Cause,
Lexi actually
we're-
mentioned the
we're-
drinking game really early
she
in
did.
the chat,
She did.
and I was like, no, we're not. No,
No, we're, no.
we're gonna die.
You're like, Brittany did too many puns tonight. You'll be
I loved
under the
it.
table. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next week with something.
Yeah, we were gonna do our ships to the line, but we're actually gonna put that episode on ice for a little bit because we got to work things out with our guest, and it's just gonna be a bit. And we didn't actually have one of our episodes planned for our continuing Best of Species, and Hawk is super excited about this one because we're gonna continue on with the Romulans, which I think I might be more excited than you, Hawk. We could fight it out. They're my favorite bad guys.
Double host.
We could
So
double
next-
host it, Hawk.
Oh, that'd be great.
So next
Cool.
Thursday at 9:30 p.m., we'll be continuing our Best of Species with the Romulans. I think, are we doing a watch along after this episode tonight?
Yeah,
I
there's
know
always
sometimes-
watch alongs. People
Okay.
will figure it out.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, join us in a few minutes after we end, maybe 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes a little while to close everything out. For whichever episode everybody's picking to watch along tonight. And make sure to join our Discord. Get more friends to join the Discord. It's always fun. It's fun to watch more with friends.
Totally.
Damn right.
So thank you all for contributing to our conversation tonight. And with that, I want you to know there's no bad blood here, even if that blood may have super regenerative properties. Live long and watch
Let's
your
all
friends
touch-
slowly die.
I'll touch
Something.
her hand.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.